In this video, I just wanted to share a quick rigging tip when it comes to using these weighted hooks that do not have a spring on the eye of the hook. So a good example would be these that I have here, which are the ChinlockZ hooks made by TT Lures for Z-Man baits, and also the Mustad Grip Pin. As you can see, no spring on the eye, and also the weight is on the shank of the hook. So the biggest thing you're going to realize with these hooks is that when you're rigging up your soft plastics, you have to slide the nose of that bait over the weight of the hook. And when you do that, you really risk damaging the nose of that bait, especially on many of your popular, standard soft plastics that are not made out of that Z-Man material or that ElaZtech material. Because when you're using Z-Man or any of those really stretchy baits, you can rig them up and you have no problem sliding them over the weight on the shank of the hook, because they stretch and then they pop right back to normal. They don't rip and they don't tear. So they're very easy to rig up on these hooks. Now when you're using standard soft plastics, for example, our 3.5-inch Slam Shady, when you go to rig these up, you're going to slide them onto the hook, and then you're going to slide that nose of the bait over that weight, and it can be a little bit sketchy. Sometimes it will tear, sometimes it won't. If you're lucky, it won't tear, and then you can rig it up as you normally would. Now, there is sort of a workaround when rigging up your baits on these hooks to avoid tearing up the nose of the bait. And the biggest downfall is that you can't have your hook attached to your line or your leader yet, because you're going to be basically putting the bait on backwards. So I'm going to show you that here. So to show you how to do this here, I'm going to use our 5-inch Alabama Leprechaun soft plastic jerk shad as an example. So what you're going to do, you're going to start putting the bait on just like you normally would, and all you're doing here is creating a pilot hole. So go through the nose of the bait and then out, just like you normally would, out of the bottom of the bait. Then you're going to take the bait off the hook, turn the hook around, and then you're going to put the eye of the hook into that pilot hole that you just created. So as you can see there, the bait is now on the hook, up on the eye, and then you can rig it weedless, just like you normally would. And there you go, the bait's rigged up. Again, the biggest downfall to this is that you have to do this before you tie your hook onto your line or your leader. However, you're going to, avoid tearing up that bait, and it will extend the life of that bait much more. Now, another thing to take into consideration is how big or small is the actual weight on the hook that you're using in comparison to the size of the head of the lure that you're using. So for example, this is our 5-inch Slam Shady Bomber, and the head of this bait is much larger than the head of the 3.5-inch Slam Shady. So if you're using a hook that has a pretty small weight on it, it will reduce the risk of damaging the head of the lure. So you can rig them up as you normally would, like so. You can see it slides right over that bait, or over that weight rather, up onto the hook. And then you can rig your bait up as you normally would. So again, if it's a pretty small weight and a larger lure, you can rig it up as you normally would, or if you want to play it safe, you can rig it up backwards as I shown earlier. So hopefully this tip can help you out if you are using these weighted hooks that do not have a spring attached to them. Again, if you're using Z-Man, I highly recommend using these types of hooks. This is a Mustad Grip Pin, which we actually sell on our shop page if you are interested in purchasing those. And these here are the TT Lures ChinlockZ hooks. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down below. Also, I'd like to know your feedback if you have any additional tips when it comes to rigging up lures on these styles of hooks.
If you are new to Salt Strong, we are the largest online fishing club for saltwater anglers, and we guarantee you 2 things. Number 1, you'll start catching more fish in less time. And number 2, you will save a ton of money on your favorite tackle and gear with discounts available exclusively for our members. To learn more, go to saltstrong.com and we'll see you there.
There's something about the water that'll give you peace, all by yourself or with your family. Live Salt Strong and wear the line today.